Hello everyone, welcome back. This episode here on Bitcoin Trade, I'll just go over some chart analysis, and this is a 1 day on Bitstamp. This is Bitcoin Wisdom, and this is kind of what I use for the most part, and it's just easy, simple, nothing too fancy. And so these are all the lines that I put up here, so you all get to see this. And looks like there's some recent activity here, a really good push up, not as much as we're used to seeing, like for this example, or this big one, or this, or even all this, but still it's a good sign, because if you noticed, if you look at this, let me pull back. All right, if you look at all this, you notice that we're in some kind of triangle here, in different triangles, this or that. Oh, excuse me. And so I've mentioned before many times that this is a really good support, and it did break through, but it didn't last too long, because that was the red scare. I'll call it the red scare. You all know why I call it the red scare, but you know, it bounced back very well above this support line, and then even pushed up a little bit. And if you look on the daily, or if you look on the 6-hour, you'll notice that you know, it reacts to the average. Now this is not a weighted average. I think this is just a simple average. But if you see it, it just reacts to the average as being a resistance, and then eventually it'll also come up here on this line here as a resistance as well. But it's good to see a good push up, like this push up and then this push up, because that's a good signal for, how can I say this, demand. Okay, demand. And you know, I think I mentioned in my previous episodes about why there would be demand, because well, the flood of miners coming in, realizing that there's too many mining going on, to the point where it's too difficult to actually get a Bitcoin. So you'll see a lot of miners no longer mining. A lot of the mining will be consolidated to the larger mining pools that are a little bit more organized, well funded, and hopefully reinvesting into their mining operations. So there was an article on it. I think I showed it last episode. Very good article, and that's probably what you're gonna experience from now. Is that you know, it's something I took from the recycling businesses. You know, when commodity prices are high, everybody and their mother comes out of the woodwork to cash in. But when commodity prices are low, well, you just can't seem to find anybody anymore, because they're just not interested, because they're not making money. So that's kind of what you're experiencing, what I think is going on. And as the availability of Bitcoin becomes harder and harder, and again, mining becomes harder and harder. So we'll just take a look at this. You know, I've been ignoring this because I'm not, you know, into the me personally, I'm not into the mining rigs, but of course, you know, miners are. So whatever this means, it just means it's harder to mine, I guess. So that's what you're seeing here. I didn't have to draw any new lines. I already made some purchases down below here and above and at 420. So just kind of averaged my cost. So I'll get into cost averaging a little bit here. If you never traded in that way, or if you never heard about it, or don't quite understand how it works, but I'll try to get into it a little bit later. But let's go on to BitC, and this is BitC here on again daily BitC, and you see this line is a little different, tells a little different story. and you'll see this is the top resistant line here, and it's just going to the middle of nowhere. So I'm using this as a pivot point for this here, and then this going down, and then also from here to here was another set of lines that I drew up. And when you look at them, as I'm drawing from here to here and then here to here, let me see how many lines I got. 1, 2. So there's 2 lines here. I'm not sure what's going on with these 2 lines, but anyways, you basically I'm making a fan for the most part, but I'm trying to make a fan based on you know, the channels instead of using the fan right here and just kind of just making a fan. So I just want something more solid to hold on to or to make make lines with. So when you look at this and you look at the way I did it, I drew this up here, and remember, this only makes sense. Why? Because I just put them there. So of course it makes perfect sense. And another thing is hindsight. Shh. Quiet, dogs. Be quiet. Hindsight. Everything's 2020. It's like, oh, it's so obvious I should have just bought a whole bunch here, or it's so obvious I should have put $1 million limit order right here. I mean, it's so obvious, right? But unfortunately, at the time when it was like this, right? When it was like this. Sorry, here, let me block that off. There you go. So basically, when the chart was like this, I'm pretty sure you didn't have any inclination of putting a stop in or a limit order of 1 million bitcoins right here. But that's hindsight 2020, right? Anyways, this is the most recent action, and overall it's been just hitting up against this particular trend here overall right here. So, but Bitsy's different. I mean, it's got a whole different kind of thing, and whether you trade on Bitsy or not, you can't ignore technical analysis on the 3 or 4 major indices. They're each saying something different, but as a whole, it should really help you out on where you're, how you're trading your bitcoins or not. But it fell below, and then it made a really good push above it. And if you look at this, Bitsy is telling me, as far as what I can see, is that it's coming up against the resistance lines, this particular resistance line right here, and this may be a potential breakout. And so with that in mind, if it does break out, I mean, it's got a lot to go. And remember, on an uptrend, it has to break above at least this right here, which it has, or it's pretty close. But if it continues to go up, it's going to also have to break through this resistant line and then break up at least right here before where it goes down. And so if it reaches here, which is not bad, but it has to, if it falls down, but it has to, when it goes back up, it has to break above this right here. So it breaks above. And then, interesting enough, if time goes on, look at that, right there. Wow. And it's just weird how things just turn out that way. But I'm looking at this high right here, and I'm drawing the line out. This is just a straight crosshair. You'll see that it's coming right here. And so this really has to break through this line, and as time draws out, it'll probably get really closer. But if it's gonna break through that in order for this to be officially back into an uptrend, and hopefully we won't get another wild roller coaster ride, because now we know the Chinese don't even want to deal with this, so we can just totally ignore the Chinese and anything that they do or say, and we can just continue on. The rest of the world can continue on just getting richer and richer and richer, and doing things for the everyday person out there who wish to have, basically who wishes to have a life and enjoy living. So we can totally ignore the Chinese and to some degree the Russians as well, or any other nation or country or government that's pretty hostile or negative towards Bitcoin, because well, the rest of the world will move on without you. In my opinion, I think that's what's going to happen. We're you know, uh, I'm not into the Bitcoin community as much like some other individuals. I don't know what's going on. I've never been to a conference. I've never done any of those things. I'm just simply looking at the chart. I'm looking at the ways I can use Bitcoin, and what it can translate into real life. And for me, it's pretty big. It's huge. It's actually transforming the way I live, and hopefully it's transforming the way everyone else is thinking about what money is and what Bitcoin is. So Bitsy, you can't ignore this. Although I hear a lot of reports and Legend X9 talk about staying away from Bitsy. You can stay away from the platform and the exchange, but you can't ignore the chart analysis. So this is a very good sign, in my opinion. It means it's gone above this support line, which is, I think this is a really critical support line, because I'm sure miners don't want to see the price go down, because they have to sell more of their Bitcoins. They rather probably sell more at a higher price, thus selling really less, small, fractional Satoshi amount of Bitcoins for a couple $1,000s versus selling 2 or 3 or 4 Bitcoins for a couple $1,000s. I mean, it's it'd be more advantageous for them to sell fractional amounts of Bitcoin for a couple thousand versus a couple Bitcoins for a couple thousand. So this is it looks like a really positive sign, considering this right here is another red scare, and the way it bounced back, it seems like it's a good sign here. And if it could break through this small little resistance, which shouldn't be too hard, I think we're gonna be in a temporary uptrend as far as Bitsy chart analysis, and then it's probably gonna be tested right about here at this price level here, which is 698. Okay, so basically what you're looking at is some resistance here on the Bitsy price is 698, and then 634, 589, and 504. So, and if more recent, like, see what I'm talking about? More recent right here is this little high, and then down, and it goes up, and look where it starts. It stops right about where this high was, which is 473, which kind of stopped right around there. So that's just the psychology of trading, because I know there's a lot of bots going out there trading, or meta traders or whatever, but in the end, I think in the end it's really a person pushing a button on or off, one of those kind of situations. So let's take a look at some other charts here. Now I'll get into averaging your trades here. So this is Bitfin, and this Bitfin even has a completely different chart analysis. It's just going right along this resistance, just riding it all the way until it can break. And if you look at this from here to here, is actually this line on the bottom right here. And if you look at it, I mean, it's slightly broken out, followed it and come down and then slide down, and then, but now you're looking at a retest of this. If it can break through that, it's got another resistance here, And if it can break through that, I mean, pretty much what you're going to be seeing, which I think on this particular chart, is you're going to see this bounce up and back here. You know, if it can break above this, then I think we're in a really good uptrend again, or for a temporary while time for an uptrend here. Again, you know, as the price goes down, it's harder and harder for miners to stay in business and to justify their reinvestments of mining rigs. And so they're not going to buy any more mining rigs. They're not going to generate more Bitcoins. Therefore, they're not going to be selling their Bitcoins. They're going to say, well, you know, for some of them who's been in it for a long time, they could just stop selling and they'll be all right for a while. Everybody needs cash flow, but some of the more early adopters and early miners who hopefully they didn't oversell their Bitcoins. They realize, you know, if you oversell them, the price is going to fall. But if you have some and you already made your money and this is all gravy, you know, you could slow down a little bit, and that way the overselling will cease to happen, and then you're going to see a demand, which I think this is a small portion of the demand that's occurring. And you know, just like any economy, any ecosystem, it has to be done in a sustainable way if you want it to continue on an uptrend, continue up. So, and even some people who trade have some responsibility in that. But I understand everybody wants to make money, everybody wants to you know, prosper and everything, but Bitcoin is interesting in the fact that, you know, you as an individual can control the flow of Bitcoin. It's not the central banks, it's not the banks or any merchant, or even in any exchange. It's the holder of the Bitcoin, the owners of the Bitcoin. And so, you know, as soon as you stop selling is when the price will go up. If that makes any sense. I mean, I think that's pretty simple. Stop selling, price go up. Start selling again, start, you know, dumping your Bitcoins, price goes down. Kind of simple. But anyways, it looks like either the sellers are exhausted or realize that they're not going to be in business if they keep selling, which would be the miners. So you're seeing a retest here, and if it breaks out of here and hits this, and then also hits this and goes above it, you're going to see a nice breakout of this downtrend and back, hopefully to an uptrend again. For this long downtrend is like almost like 3 or 4, maybe even 5 years in regular trading. So basically everyone experienced from beginning of what is this, December, from December to January to now, you basically been trading 5 years worth of regular trades, in my opinion. And last but not least, let's go to Coinbase, and I can't do a daily. Actually, I can. Okay, this is a daily, but it doesn't go as far back, so this is kind of what I'm working with. And so I drew 2 lines, this being a pivot, and drawn one from here to there, and then here to here. And if you see, it's been riding around on this resistance here, and even falling below that, then it comes straight up, breaking out. It's definitely broken out of this, and you know, it's kind of interesting. It dips down, only go back up to this support line here, and to play around in here. See this support right there, and you got these two ranges here. I think it might range around before it starts going up, because you know, that's kind of what you see. You see a breakout. In my experience, there's like 2 things. When you see a breakout, it really breaks out, and it goes bonkers, like what you've seen before. Other times when it breaks out, it'll break out and stop within a range to go back down within a range, and it could range at this price for a very long time. I mean, it could. So this is kind of, when you look at Coinbase on this chart, this is all the information I got here, but I'm sure there's other charts that can show different things. But on the near term at least, there could be a good chance of ranging in here. But if it breaks above this range, that's good news for an uptrend. So there you go on that. Okay, so let's talk about averaging some of your cost on this. So let me see if I can go to. Sorry about this. My computer goes to sleep, so it doesn't record everything. So you have to imagine this big green line coming up here, pushing the price up. But let's back out a little bit more to see what's going on here. Or you know what? Let me just go ahead and just make another chart with nothing on it. How about that? Okay, so there's no lines or anything on there. And so one of the things that I like to do, because I'm not psychic, and probably most of you are not psychic either, and I can't, I don't know what the future holds. I have an idea based on what happened today or happened yesterday, but one way that I try to mitigate some of my risk is I average my cost. So for example, let me see here. Let's go back out an hour. Okay, at least an hour. So one of the things that I like to do is I like to select a price where I'd like to buy in. And one of the ways I do that is in increments of what you'll see here is in $10. I'll put a buy order at 440 and 420 and 400 and 380. And let's say, okay, so I got 1, 2, 3, 4. So I got 4 price areas where I would like to buy. But here's the great thing about when you average it. Let's just say I wanted to buy 1 Bitcoin, but I didn't know what the price is. So let's just put in 25, 0.25, 0.25, 0.25, 0.25. And if you see here, at 440, if I was here, I would have bought 0.25, then 0.25, 0.25, and then 0.25. So, you buy at 40, 20. So I'm sorry, these are 20 increments. You can do 20 increments as well. I'm just saying if you just average it. So if I bought 25, 0.25, 0.25, 0.25, and 0.25, if I average it out, I'm probably right in the middle here as far as when I bought, that equates to 1 Bitcoin. So 410. So 410. So let's say you're over here and you bought in $20 increments of whatever, quarter of a Bitcoin, and you just because you can't tell the future, and you're pretty happy because it bounced up right after that. You were down. Let me see, if it was 410, right? So 410 was your average cost as it was going down, if it hit all the stops or all your limit orders. And so you bought at 410. And so by the time you hit your other order here and it came back up, you were pretty much right here. You broke even from all your other ones, and now anything above this line, you pretty much are made a gain. And then it came back down, but now you definitely made a gain. So if you averaged it, if you just bought in small amounts at different intervals, when it goes back up, even though let's say you bought at 440, but the price is at 420, 430, you've actually made a gain and made a slight loss on 1 out of the 4. So you made a gain on 3 of them out of the 4. So total you made a gain, is what I'm trying to say. So that's another strategy that you can employ. That's also the same way you can do on when you're selling your Bitcoins as well. A more I guess a more orderly way of selling out of the market and then buying into the market. So you're kind of mitigating risk, is what I'm trying to say. You're averaging the cost. So because you don't know when the price is going to go up and you don't know when the price is going to go down. The only hard part about it is you got to choose whether to put a buy order in that way or start putting in sell orders that way. But in either case, you gotta get into the market and make a trade. If you don't do anything, you're just not doing anything. So that's kind of what I want to talk about here. So I think that's about all I wanted to talk about. Hopefully everyone had their trades go through and have some really good trades going on. So other than that, please feel free to comment, like, dislike, or even do a video response. Till next time, stay tuned. Bye now.